G'day, Aussie Gridiron fans. Welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast, the Week 15 preview edition. We're back with 4 games we want to watch, and we think you should too. G'day, Brad. How you going, mate?
Doing well. A day before my holidays. I'm not as... I was going to come in here actually and complain about my body hurting and aching, but then I saw that we've got a grandpa playing in the NFL, and if his body can handle it, I can certainly handle a podcast.
44-year-old Philip Rivers' return, mate, gives life to all of us middle-aged men who go out and play some kind of semi-professional or amateur sport. We can no longer just complain about it, because if that dude makes the field and he gets hit by anybody in the NFL, then shut the hell up about your body.
Yeah.
Nick, on the other hand, he's much younger than us, and he gets hit on the regular.
Yes, every week, and love it as well. But you get to do the hitting back, which is pretty good. But
yeah, that's probably the bit I'd like to do the most.
Have you given up a sack this season, Nick?
No.
What?
I don't know. I don't know. Here we go. I actually don't know. I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and review tape. I don't think so. I have 2 sacks this year, but I don't know if I've given up 2. So it's a positive output on both sides of the line.
Yeah, well, if you absolutely, mate. If you're not giving up sacks, but you are sacking the opposition quarterback when you play both sides of the ball now, because why not?
That's right.
Triple threat. I'm doing that extra layer as opposed to like Travis Hunter.
And we all know these days that punting is the first threat.
It is. It is. 100%.
The old pancakes and punts over here. Fantastic. So it's been a great week so far. Great week. Anyway,
Actually,
busy as hell for me, but it's been pretty good.
Does yours pick up because of the Christmas season, or just because?
Oh yeah, she picks up, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
So our little business, our photo booth business picks up massively.
Okay.
So every single night this week, I have had an event.
Oh wow!
People will be hearing this on Saturday morning, which means while you're listening to this, I'm currently setting up for our community Christmas carols to run the photo booth there for the entire day. Somewhere around 8 o'clock at night we'll finish, which means I get to pack down and then watch the fireworks once they go off. And then on Sunday, I will be setting up at a rec area just outside of town for one of the local mining companies. Second of their annual family Christmas days. So it's massive. All week I've had year 6 farewells and graduations, Christmas party on Friday night. It's insane, mate. Wow. I haven't slept, and I'm still getting up at 5 a.m. for work. So
and doing your normal gig. Wow.
Sat down with Isaac, and we had a great guest on Tuesday for our reaction show, Michael Elliott. So if you haven't heard that show, please do go back and listen to that. Michael was amazing. He essentially gave us his huge spiel, his huge reaction spiel that he gives us regularly on the NFL Fans Down Under Facebook group. And he gave us that live, and we talked through and reacted to all those reactions as well as a whole bunch of others live. So that was awesome. And then even a bit of a spoiler reveal for his favorite team, Brad. I know you won't have seen that, which ended up being the Green Bay Packers. Incredibly disappointing from my end.
Oh, isn't that so full? It's kind of a full circle moment for you and I.
I know.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. So
cool.
If you haven't seen that, make sure you go back and check that out. Or you know what? You can now just go to Instagram or our YouTube. Just search for G'day Gridiron, at G'day Gridiron everywhere. Go there, because Isaac has been working hard in the background lately the last few weeks and been really upping our social media game and putting out a whole bunch of shorts from these episodes that we are creating. He's been doing an awesome job in the background and putting those up. So they are everywhere. So if you come across them, make sure you like I said, like and follow us on YouTube or Instagram. The YouTube link you'll find at linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. You just search G'day Gridiron, basically. And, check us out on Instagram and just, maybe hit react on a few of those things for us and try and get it out there with a few more eyeballs because, Isaac's been doing an awesome job editing those up.
He's done brilliant. Cool. Yeah, he's done brilliant seeing a lot of the stuff that he's done online. Speaking of our prestigious Rams resident fan, Isaac, we had a bit of a discussion during the week and he was a bit upset that we couldn't bring this up. So there was something that on behalf of myself and Isaac, I just wanted to get a bit off our chest to see a bit of an update of something that was actually mentioned earlier this year. If you take your minds back to a topic of conversation that we had well before the season started,
I know what this is
before the draft had happened, about this.
And the two of you need to not count your chickens before they hatch.
On a water bet. Look, before the season starts, then we have to have a water bet based around Shedeur Sanders. You win on that, Brad?
Look at that beard.
Giving us leeway to come up with something before the start of the season. It'll put it out there.
Can I float one? Sanders will be the starter next year.
Next year? Oh, we're playing the long game.
Yeah, we'll be the starter.
It's the Cleveland Browns. I don't trust them.
So you're talking about 2026?
No, it's in the season coming up.
Oh,
Yeah.
This season. This
2025?
Yeah.
This upcoming season.
The starter at what point?
Okay, let's say for most games.
It can't be week
most
1
games,
because that's going to be Joe Flacco. We all know it's going to be Flacco.
So for most he will start more games than anyone else for the Browns next year.
Ooh, I'll take that.
I'm with you, Nick. I reckon he will too.
Okay, so that's the water bet. That Shedeur Sanders will start more games than any other Cleveland quarterback currently on their roster.
Man.
So, an update.
I want to see how bad your maths is. Because I've already done the numbers on this.
On wood.
I've been tracking this for weeks, Nick, because I was waiting to bring it up. So I want to see how bad your maths is.
No. So Flacco started 6 games.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Dylan Gabriel's Flacco started 4 games. Sorry. Dylan Gabriel has started 6 games.
Okay.
So, barring injury, knock on wood, that leaves 7
Week
games
18
left.
Week 18 is the day, mate. If
It
he
is the
starts
day.
week 18, because he's already been announced as the starter for the rest of the season.
Yes.
If he starts week 18, you guys win that bet. I love that it's come. This is why I said I've been tracking this for a while. Because the minute they said he's going to be
100%.
the starter for the rest of the season, I was like, oh, where are we at with that? And I
and I
realized
knew-
it was week 18.
And I knew that this was a chance when Dylan Gabriel obviously had the concussion and then he came in, he won that game against the Raiders. I was like, all right, there's a bit of a chance I might stick with him for the rest of the year. But I thought we were going to be in big trouble once I heard about Deshaun Watson and practicing. He's coming back for practice. But apparently, according to Ian Rappaport, Shedeur Sanders is the starter for the rest of the year for the Browns at QB. So
He
that
has
is an
been
update.
already announced by Shane's by what's his name?
Stefanski.
Stefanski. The wrong S name. Stefanski as the starter for the rest of the season. He said he will start for the rest of the season. Yes, that is true.
Wow. Okay.
The problem is that they are facing Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, all of which who have ridiculous rush defenses, like pass defenses, as in part like rushing the quarterback.
Yeah.
So one good
Yeah.
defense in there.
And
One good
as I
defense.
said, I counted this up. Gabriel is on 6, and if Shedeur if he starts week 18, it's 7. So I love that our water bet is coming down to the last week of the season for the Cleveland Browns. It is the most G'day Gridiron thing that is a G'day Gridiron ever. And it proves that we almost know what we're talking about too, to take it right down to the end of the season.
Not gonna lie, for
I
this
love
time of
it.
year, I'd love to have the water chucked on me anyway. So I might do it either way.
The only
you
way
were
this
biased
could,
today.
the way I see this going, the only way I see this going is if he performs really badly in those other three, and there's any semblance or even if he performs, actually no, I'll say it again. If he performs pretty well in those other three, and it looks like he could possibly get hurt, because I think that they'll go forward with him, then they might chuck Gabriel in as a starter.
Back in as the backup.
Because he's the backup. Because they might not want to get him injured before the end of the season. Because if they get him injured, we've seen it now. Let's take Daniel Jones, for instance. You get an ACL or an MCL tear or even an Achilles injury at this point in the season, you are up against week 1, 2026 before you are back in proper recovery mode. So any lower limb injury right now in terms of soft tissues or anything like that is going to put a quarterback out until week 1 to 3 next year. So if they truly think he's the quarterback of the future, they might have to actually take him out of the starting spot, mate.
And Kevin, for God's sake, put him in the 2-point plays. Seriously. What is going on?
No. What is going on? You know what's going on there. Everyone was so surprised about it.
I'm believing the conspiracies. I'm believing it. I have to.
No, I think Stefanski knows. I think Stefanski already knows that they're throwing games.
That's true. They are the Browns.
It improved their draft pick by 2 positions. And I also had the theory that they were actively keeping track. Someone on that team was actively keeping track of what was happening in other games in the league and saw that the Saints were actually beating Tampa Bay.
They must have, maybe. Because for the whole of
that game finished, because that game finished before the Browns game finished because of the way, just the length of the game. And I reckon someone in there's seen Tyler Shuck go in for a late touchdown and gone, Kevin, Saints are going to win.
This makes me think that this is way early for our draft season stuff, but Mendoza probably getting overdrafted in the upcoming draft because they probably saw him last weekend against Ohio State and was like, all right, let's go after that guy. So he could be right in that aspect.
You reckon the Browns are going to add another quarterback or what? No?
I mean, they signed how many last season? Not to mention Tyler Hunt
4
there at one point, So I wouldn't put it past them.
I just want to know which old quarterback they're going to bring back to start week 1, even though they draft 3 kids.
Jameis.
Phillip Rivers.
If they had Jameis back, they would win games, Brad. 100%.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, maybe. Depends. Matt Ryan. Who knows?
Matt Ryan.
Yes. I think just on Jameis, Jameis should be starting the rest of the year for New York. He should be starting the rest of the year for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with that.
At this point, the way Jackson Dart is, leave Dart on the bench. Dude, just you can be back up for the rest of the year. You're way too important. You stop getting that noggin hit. Just let Jameis finish it out.
Aussie.
It might be pretty obvious, but I am not Matty C.
NFL.
Absolutely stoked to have it on the podcast, mate. Welcome.
Fantasy.
Tay, I think it's time you disabused your mate here.
Would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
Find hidden gems.
And with that, we're into some breakouts.
I'm glad you're stalling because my results last week were a hot piece of ass.
We all had our struggles, mate.
You've unzipped the pennies and it's time to put the pennies in the pit. Let's do it.
I'm taking Trey McBride.
I'm just leaning on the old tuck draft.
And all of a sudden, he's just lighting them up.
Catch starts of the week.
I'm just going to go ahead and take Goff at Chicago.
So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to take Travis Etienne.
I'm going to go ahead and take your boy Ty Tracy.
I'm going to take Adam Thielen.
So I'm going to go and take Richo against Tennessee.
I'll take Matt Stafford.
Just a little float out the Dalton Kincaid.
I'm actually going to take Caleb against the Lions.
Friday and Sunday all season long. The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network.
Good to give me the dance floor. I'll probably fucking snap the floorboards.
Let's talk games.
All right, let's talk the talk and talk games. Let's talk 4 games that we want to watch, things we picked. Isaac's picked one as well. He's chucked out a game. I said it the other day when I was on with Isaac that it was actually going to be pretty easy to pick these games. There are some storylines in some of the others, but I feel like we picked probably the 4 games. 4 out of the 5 games I would have picked anyway to have a talk about. There are a couple others on the schedule that I might have liked to talk about. I would have dearly loved for Brad and I to have a discussion about Vikings Cowboys this week, considering we're on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think if the Vikings were a better spot, it would.
If the Vikings had won 2 more games, we would be more interesting right now.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are very interesting still, but yeah, it's the Vikings part,
Always
which
interesting.
is shit there. So we're going to go through 4 games for Sunday that we want to watch that we've picked. We might mention something about Monday Night Football, but let's be serious. It's Dolphins at Steelers. There's not a lot there to talk about, so it is what it is. We'll see what I can come up with to mention for that a bit later. But don't get on us if we don't talk about Dolphins and Steelers. If you're a fan of that team, that's your problem. They need to be better. Righto. Well, Nick, I know what your game is, and you're going to kick us off with the big one for the week. Well, one
It
of
is the big
ones,
one.
actually. I think it is the biggest, to be honest. Go for it. What did you pick, Nick?
It is the
Well, that
biggest.
rhymed.
It is the second edition this year of this AFC East matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And now heavyweight AFC matchup, which is really the match point for New England for the AFC East title. They're out by 2 games. So this week they can really sum it up. They'll be able to sweep the Bills for the first time in years. So massive opportunity for them. New England, weirdly to say, are the new kids off the block after a massive 5-year hiatus. Pity them from the playoffs, which they've been able to find now franchise QB in Drake May after going from Tom Brady to, they had this weird thing in between with Cam Newton, Mac Jones, and then they found Drake May. Just pops up like that all of a sudden. So this becomes a big game. Sada come across earlier in the week, where this century it is hard to beat a team 3 times. So in a matchup where teams are facing each other 3 times in one season, there's only been 4 times where one team has actually won it all 3 times out of 12 matchups between all 3 times. So like divisional opponents, again, obviously in the playoffs. So it's a big thing this week for New England just to have that psychological edge against the Buffalo Bills this week, as the Bills have been running this division for ages, obviously since Tom Brady left to Tampa and then obviously retired. As we said before, it has been a massive season for the Patriots, and particularly with Drake May. So his improvement has been off the charts. He's been tremendous under pressure. He has been tremendous on the deep balls, averaging first in passer rating in both categories, passer rating second overall behind, I think, Matthew Stafford this year. So obviously it has been, quite a season where he's been able to just take this massive leap and really grow into an offense where, you look around, they don't really have a lot of sort of big threats. They've got Stephon Diggs and they've got Booty, and then they've got, this weird run game. Is early in the season it's Stevenson, then it's Henderson. They haven't sort of got that right. Will Campbell's now injured. So despite all that, he's done really well, which actually makes him to an MVP case for himself, come later in the year. On the other side of the ball, Vrabel's effect on the defense has really shown, as they're a physical brand who are actually great in stopping the run, which is what, as we know, Buffalo's sort of strength works to on the offensive side of the ball. But this team also doesn't give up many points in general. They're great at defending between the 20s. However, weirdly, they're actually the worst defensive red zone team. They give up more red zone touchdowns than any other team in the NFL, which is quite weird. If you can get in the red zone, you can actually score on them. But this will be an area that the Bills have to attack, and they have to get some production from their pass catchers, as the Patriots will force you to throw. Real question is, if need be, is Josh Allen being Superman going to be enough this week? Obviously, this is not the Bengals defense. The Patriots are a lot better. When allowing 30+ points this season, the Bills are 3-1. The rest of the league is 89-2. So Josh Allen, when the Bills allow more than 30 or more points, is 16 touchdowns, 4 turnovers, and 362 yards a game. So he literally has to become Superman even more so than what he is when their defense isn't showing up. As we mentioned, this is the second edition. So if you watch the last matchup, there wasn't much separating these two teams. It was quite a sort of real tight grudge match. It was a wet game. It was a tough game, quite a defensive game. The Bills did have a few more turnovers, but ultimately this game comes down to two things for mine. Is Drake May ready for the next step in this league? So standing up against those better teams in the comp, they've had such a soft schedule this season. So now they come up against another tough team. Can they go and actually do it again? It actually, puts them in a spot where they can go, okay, we can take it to these good teams. The flip side is Josh Allen going to roll with this run of just trying to do everything and take the opportunity in this playoffs this season? So we mentioned about the overreaction I sort of had on the Tuesday night show. With that, with the Bills, there's potentially no Patrick Mahomes, who has, haunted this guy in the playoffs, potentially no Lamar Jackson, most likely not Joe Burrow. So, this is wide open. You've got a bunch of kids that are now playing in the AFC and Aaron Rodgers. Can they actually get over the top and finally do something? It starts here. They have to keep themselves alive for the AFC East title. Brad, what are you thinking on this game?
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup any way you look at it. This is, to me, is the toughest game to pick in the whole league or the whole week, and I think that is Buffalo, or excuse me, is New England coming off of a bye week going to be able to force Josh Allen to be kind of that surgeon, or is he going to be, the gunslinger? And if he's the surgeon and if he's patient, he can dink and dunk down the field, because that's kind of New England's Belichick style defense. They're going to disguise coverages and just make you beat them underneath. If he's willing to play that game, then I think they've got a good chance, because their run defense, we saw the last game in week 5, the New England's run defense really came to the party, but they're not nearly as healthy this time around, that defensive line. So they're going to need Buffalo, then I think has a little bit better opportunity to run with Cook. So if they can stay balanced, if they can stay patient, I actually like Buffalo in this game. I think it's going to be one of these. They're going to dig deep in this game, but it's so close. It is so close. It's just unreal. And May's going to take his shots downfield, no matter what. And that's where he's been successful. Buffalo's got a semi-decent pass defense, so it's just going to be tough. The Beneford for Buffalo, the cornerback, has been playing so well that I think if he can lock down one side of his field, then they're going to have a decent shot. But it's going to be tough. Ian, I don't know, what are you thinking on this one?
When Nick mentioned it was a wet game in the first edition of this season. This one is forecast for snow in the AM.
Then already give it to Josh Allen.
It's forecast to be -1 during the day. That's 30 for Brad.
Thank you.
And they're going to get down to -9 or 14 in the evening. They've got AM snow showers forecast up to 1 inch of snow. So this is very likely to be a snow game in Foxborough. Now, interestingly, the Patriots have a sensational record in snow games in recent years. Under Bill Belichick alone, they were 12-0 in snow games. I would be looking at the way Mike Vrabel plays as well to be very similar in a snow game. He would have coached in many of those with Bill Belichick over the years. So I don't know, Brad, if it is just a layup for Allen and the Bills, but Allen and the Bills, in the snow in Buffalo have always been sensational. So they know how to play a snow game, and they have to play it when it's wet and cold.
Yep.
So that makes that even more interesting. The other parts to this for me would be the fact that both teams, Buffalo really can't lose this division now. There is mathematically they could lose this division, but they would need to they've got 3 divisional games over the next 4 weeks. So all 3 teams, Bills, Jets, and Dolphins, they're playing in there. They would need to lose all of them to be able to lose this division. They currently have a 3-0 record, whereas the Bills are 2-2 in the division. So even if the Bills won this one and they won their last game against the Jets, that would still only make them 4-2 as a record. And the Patriots, even if they lost this one, won the others, or even lost one of the others, and if they finish with the same record, of course, they've already got a tiebreaker in there against the Bills. So it would make that really iffy, depending on the rest of the conference schedule. And of course, the Patriots conference schedule, conference winning record, right now is sensational at 6-0. So the Bills have really shot themselves in the foot this year. I don't think they're going to win this division, but the best they can hope for is a much better spot. We talked about it on the reaction show with Isaac and Michael about the fact that I feel like the top 7 in the AFC are already set in terms of the 7 teams that are there in the top 7 are going to be the top 7. They're going to be your playoffs teams in the AFC. Where they finish, though, is going to be the thing that can move around a bit. Will the Patriots get to the first seed and the Broncos drop out of that, which they're currently in at the moment? Bills, Texans, Chargers, where they all sort of finish 5, 6, and 7. So it'll be interesting there. That's the other part to me, is which way that goes. If the Pats win, I think they'll keep the Bills down at around 6 or 7. If the Bills win, they might be able to get up to 5th and avoid the Pats in the playoffs, at least for a week. In the first round of the playoffs, that is. So, because I don't think they want to come up against them in the first round of the playoffs, to be honest.
No.
I think it'll make it. It's a great storyline, as Nick said. We could go to a 3rd edition of this matchup, but it could be awesome. Interesting game, very, very interesting. Brad, you're not the only one that finds it hard to pick this game. The bookies agree. The Bills are favoured by 1.5 at the moment away from home. And the current total is sitting at 49.5. So it is basically a pick 'em. It is going to be right down the line. It's a snow game. I like the under on that total in a snow game. I think 49.5 is probably a bit too much if we're going to have an inch of snow on the ground for the majority of this game.
Saying that though, the Bills know how to put up points in snow games. I don't know. Every single time they're in a snow game, they find a way to put up points. So, yeah, it's not a bad one, because I do agree the total line is high, but I just think with the Bills, how much they can put up in these snow games, it sort of grabs me a little bit. I don't know.
I also know how little they can put up. That's the other part of that, though.
In terms of for the Bills, you're saying?
Sorry, not the Bills. I thought you said the Patriots. But yes, the Bills do put up points in it. But they also have the Bills have put up very little in snow games as well. Sometimes it just becomes a massively defensive game. I think it's got to be ground game, if anything, because it's more of a snow game. If it's actively snowing, it makes it harder to pass. I think you'll see more out of James Cook and Travion Henderson. It has to be Henderson for the Pats. I don't think you can rely on Ramondre Stevenson, which they went to in their last matchup, which was infuriating because Henderson was getting some much better play, but obviously Stevenson was actually getting through the line a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. What do you got, Nick? Anything on this game?
It was hard to pick. I mean, we've said it already. You know what? I don't actually mind taking the Bills here in terms of just straight up head to head. I think there's a bit of a sense of urgency. They don't want to be losing this game at all. The Pats are sort of playing a little bit with house money. Obviously, they're looking to try and, win the division first and go on to being, try and win the 1 seed. But I think the Bills have to be sort of aware of, the opportunity that they've got this year. I just think it's too big for them to be like, nah, this is just going to be, we're going to try and make it in as a wild card and go from there. I just see in a world where, again, we talk about Allen just being able to do whatever he can. I think it's not going to be sustainable in the playoffs, but I think it's going to be something that can prove in this game. It's just, a bit of in the last few years, big brother versus little brother in this division. I'm happy to take the Bills head to head. I just think it's just one of those games.
The one player prop bet that I would go to in this game would be James Cook rushing and receiving combo yards. I think he's going to be a huge part of this game. I think the Patriots' run defense is softer. I think you're going to see Allen dink and dunk and do check downs to Cook. So I would be all over that. Do an alternates bet for 100 plus yards rushing and receiving for Cook personally.
Yeah, right. That could be really cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our second game of the week is Brad's game. Brad, what did you choose?
I chose the this was a little bit of an odd game in the sense of we didn't expect, I think, these teams to be in this situation at the beginning of the year. But I'm going with the vaunted Chargers versus Chiefs matchup, and especially didn't expect the Chargers to be the front runner in this game. So it's if you think about it, it seems like eons ago that we had a week 1 game, I believe, where the Chargers beat up KC, and this might be a chance for them to sweep the series. So, and you got to wonder, is this well, we know it's do or die for playoff hopes, but is this do or die for dynasty in terms of the Chiefs? Are they done if they don't win this game? Because in theory, they don't win this game, they don't go to the playoffs. They don't go to the playoffs, and then they're going to implode, blow up the team, and rebuild. So, yeah, it's huge ramifications for this game. And on the field, there's a couple things I think that are worth looking at. One of them is looking at this Chiefs offense. They've been struggling so much. There's a great piece on ESPN that was done just a little bit ago about the struggles of the Chiefs offense and how they've become so predictable. And basically, it's just this RPO quick game. And their backs aren't getting any push on the line. They're not a run threat at all. And so on the offensive side of the ball, they're not able to do anything. And of course, we saw last week they had 5 drops, so the receivers aren't helping them out. And then schematically, all their receivers, none of them are like these big bodied blockers per se. And I think that is hurting them on their run game. So they really need to take a look at that. They've gone with this whole speed thing. And of course you need that, but I think you also need some possession receivers as well. And they're not getting that. And I know they had a lot of faith in Kelsey coming into the season, but the dude's 37 years old. I think his body's starting to wear down. He had a decent run here at the beginning of the season in the middle, but I think just physically he's starting to wear down because of age. And so the Chargers run defense has really picked up as well lately. So I just got to think, are the Chiefs going to be able to get anything going in their run game against this Chargers front? Because Pacheco and Hunt for Kansas City are just not really doing much. But on the Chargers side of the ball, that offensive line and Herbert, it's just woeful, man. And you saw him, they got the run game going a little bit last week, but he's getting pressured like 40% of his dropbacks, Herbert is, that's just unreal. It's not sustainable. So, is Harbaugh going to lean into that run game? But then the Chiefs, their defense, as bad as their offenses look, that's how good their defenses look. And their third quarter, you go back and look at that third quarter against Houston, and Houston had -2 yards the whole quarter, -2, and that was like 4. But they had 3 or 4 possessions, so they had a lot of like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And that defense is Spags is doing another phenomenal job with them. So if I was like to do some betting on this, I would. To be honest, I'd look and say, are the Chiefs going to go against type? That is, are they going to actually throw the ball down the field? Because what they've been doing is just the simple bubble, screen, hitch, all these short pass plays, and it's just not working. So Patrick's got to be not afraid to just chuck it downfield. And what do they got to lose? But this would be one of those. In the game, if you see Patrick take a couple deep shots, those first 2 possessions, then I'm putting money on the Chiefs because I think that will pay off. But if they go dink dunk, I don't think it'll work because I don't think they'll have enough possessions because I think the Chargers are going to run the ball, grind the clock out, and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it's a close game again, picking them, and I don't really want to lean one way or the other. And it's sad because I think what Spags has done on defense for the Chiefs it's legendary this season. He has done really, 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 really well, and the Chargers have gotten a lot better on defense as well. So sorry, you've heard me talk all about this game. I get excited about these kinds of matchup. I think it's going to be a grind 'em up game. I don't know, Nick. What's your thoughts on this?
The game in just going back to the game in Brazil, back in week 1, very long time ago, back in September.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, the difference in that game was Herbert was able to make those plays at the end. It was pretty much an even game statistically. You look at how the team sort of got to, and then the Chargers just found a way. Like in the end, it was Herbert the one that was the player that was coming out on top. Since then, though, obviously they've been massively banged up with their protection O-line. Obviously their defense for a bit. They've got some defensive players back now. But touching on about your point with the pressures that is on Justin Herbert this season. He is on pace to have the most pressures faced in the last 10 seasons. So the most in the last 10 seasons was actually Deshaun Watson back in 2018 with the Texans with 287. Really? So he's on pace to get to 293. So the 4 most in each season. So it's 2018 Deshaun Watson, 2023 Sam Howell, 2022 Kirk Cousins, and actually, funnily enough, 2022 Justin Herbert. Weirdly enough, all those guys either lost in the wild card round or missed the playoffs. One of the two. So it's not a recipe for success. However, in saying that, when sacked 5 or more times, Justin Herbert is 4-0 this season. 4-0 when sacked 5 or more times this season. All other quarterbacks are 9-38. 4-0. Last week he was sacked 7 times.
Wow.
Loves the sack. Loves the sack.
He loves the sack. It's insane. They put that on the t-shirt. When pressured more than 20 times in a game this season, Justin Herbert is 2-2. All other quarterbacks are 3-25. He was pressured 28 times against the Eagles last week. So you look at that and say, yeah, he can actually deal with the pressure, but is that really sustainable for what they're trying to achieve? They've finally got Hampton back. They're trying to get him involved in the run game a bit more. This is a game, though, where I think Herbert, the Chiefs' defense have been able to create pressure, haven't quite been able to get the sacks. I think they're bottom 3rd in the league for sacks at the moment. So they haven't been quite as good as they have been in previous seasons, where being able to get off the field. I think they're one of the worst teams actually on 3rd down, which is strange for a team that's really good situationally and has been for so long. So it's just a lot of weird stuff that's happening with the Chiefs this year. We talked about offensively that those drops have come back like they had a few years ago, where they were the team that led the season with the most drops. So it is quite weird. Patrick played horribly last week. There's no way to get around that. But it was against, an excellent defense. He had a lot of his O-line missing. They had to do some weird stuff. But despite that, he was pretty bad. He's had to really try and pull the strings and get everything working, but it just hasn't been working. Like they've been dying for Rashee Rice to come back, and then he's come back, but then the offense still hasn't really gotten going. They've faced some good defenses lately. Obviously, quite some time ago, they faced the Broncos, and then they came up obviously against the Texans last week. The Cowboys the week before. That was pretty much just a boat race. Dallas just said, you know what, we're going to beat your defense, and we're going to force you to beat ours, and then it's just going to be a boat race to the finish on that Thanksgiving game. They've lost 4 of their last 5. So, as much as we're saying about all these negative things about the Chiefs, it's like, well, situationally, they've actually been quite bad this year. They could have been flips. You could say last year the games that they did win could have flipped as well. So it sort of evens out in that aspect. In saying that, though, I really don't think this is going to be it for, like, mathematically at least. I don't think this is going to be it for the Chiefs. I actually don't mind them winning this game. Like, I know probably the Chargers are probably better in terms of their defense and then how they've been playing recently, but I just think off a short week, had to go to overtime against the Eagles, which was a bit of a grudge match. It came down to literally a pick on like the 2-yard line. I don't think this is where the Chiefs' season finished. And, obviously the AFC West is gone. They won't be able to get that. But, if they can try and find a way to win this one, they're like, you know what? It's been a shit season, but if we can manage to win out, who knows? I can't write this team off until they're mathematically done. That's just me. I know everyone wants to, but I can't do it quite yet until mathematically is done.
I get that. I respect that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So do I. And that was just going to be the biggest thing I'm going to mention here is just these two teams. If the Chiefs lose this one, they're done. They are done. They're absolutely done. They need to win out. Their only roads that their only path to the playoffs football right now is to win out and then hope the Chargers falter, go winless even in the majority of their games because just the Chargers hold a much superior record to anybody else in the division, in divisional records so far or at this point. The Chargers, on the other hand, they need this win massively. They're 4-0 in the division right now. They have the tiebreak right now over the Denver Broncos. So the Chargers need this extra divisional win. That's going to put them at 5-0, where the Broncos are only sitting at 3-1. And then the Chargers have the Cowboys, the Texans, and then one final game against the Broncos in Week 18 to win this division. If they do that, they will take it. It's a tough run, but they're just such a superior position right now. They win this, 100%. Kansas City are done. That's them out of the playoffs. There is no way in, not in a wild card spot at all. And that sits with what I was talking about earlier, where I said I think that the top 7 that are currently in the AFC are the 7 that we will see in the playoffs. And that includes the Chargers and the Broncos and not the Kansas City Chiefs, who are currently sitting at 10th. So it's do or die, basically, for the Chiefs. And if the Chargers want to win that division and get the leg up in the standings and that home game, they need to win. So I love these matchups, these divisional matchups at the end of the year, perfectly scripted to come down to the wire like this. And it's going to be an amazing matchup. Righto.
What's our bets? What are we thinking?
I don't know. I was trying to have a look at a few, and it's all over the place. The Chiefs are favoured by 5.5, which I think is ridiculous. Way too big.
That's way too big.
And then the total is at 41.5, which I think is way too small. I just think the Desert has got this one completely wrong. The bookies are it's all over the place with this one. I think 5.5. If it's at 5.5, I would take Chargers at plus 5.5.
the game's in KC, so I'm thinking maybe is it going to be a shit weather game? Maybe that's why the
I was
title's
just
so
checking.
low.
I was just checking that we're looking at. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but it's going to be sunny and cold.
Okay.
-8 in our language, but it's going to be a sunny day.
The only one that I sort of liked, because I'm a bit bullish more so in the Chiefs in this game. I just looked at the 1-13 in terms of the margin. I wasn't brave enough to go the Chargers plus 5.5. Although I do think it is pretty big. But yeah, just more so the security. I think it's more, I don't know, for me, a bit more likely that the Chiefs win by 6 than the Chargers sort of winning, I reckon, from my end, just because of the magnitude of the game. Obviously there's a lot to play for the Chargers as well, but for the Chiefs, it's literally a playoff game.
I like Mahomes completions. I think it's 22.5. So I would take the over on this game, just because I think he'll dink and dunk it. That's what I think they're gonna do. So, or I would consider Amari and Hampton on the rushing yards, because I think they're gonna feature him, because they're gonna want to grind it out, because Herbert just can't. He's not getting any protection in the pass, and that defense is gonna, just peel back and go.
I was just looking what time. What time, Brad? What time is time's the time in Kansas City? What time the game would usually be played? It's an early game. What's the early slate of games usually?
10 o'clock. Well, 10 a.m. their time.
I've never really done a time zone conversion to know.
Is that
because I was just finishing looking up the. Yeah,
I think 4 o'clock, 4:30 our time.
Everything's central, isn't it? Aren't all the games are based off central time or not?
They're all 3 time zones. So typically it's west and east coast, but there's central as well. So majority of the time they'll say like 1 o'clock Eastern. That's 10 a.m. Western.
Right. So the forecast is partly cloudy skies, very cold. In Brad's language, it's 20 degrees freedom units, so about -8 for us.
Okay.
So that's daytime. That's daytime weather. Holy shit, that's daytime weather.
That's incredible daytime weather. I love that.
Well,
I love that.
You can keep that. That's for sure. Not that it matters for me anyway, because as of today, I'm not going to be allowed into the country anyway. So,
oh yeah.
You got to give 5 years of social media history now, Brad.
What?
Yeah, the Orange announced that today. So
no, he didn't.
He did.
That's a classic.
Single-handedly ruining the entire tourism industry.
I'm good then. I'm good.
Jeez. What are they gonna do? Put everybody's social media through AI or something?
You have to provide 5 years worth of social media history, Brad.
Well, I've been off social media for 3 years. So
you're American, so you can get back into your own country, Brad.
There we go.
They'll welcome you back with open arms and give you a pistol at the border.
Sneak me in, Brad. Sneak me in.
Me, on the other hand, I'm not going to be allowed back. So.
Oh, man.
Been once, apparently that's all that's going to ever happen. Maybe I can come across the Canadian border. No, I don't know.
My uncle lives.
I'll just go to Canada, and it's close enough to Minnesota.
My uncle lives on the U.S.-Canadian border. I can get him to sneak you across. I'm not joking. He does. He gets people that smuggle through his property, and for illegal cigarettes all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And
all
he
right.
used to be
Donald Trump's listening.
Enough. Enough people smuggling from Brad's family. Let's move on. We got to move on. Third game on the clock. It is the Green Bay Packers at the Denver Broncos. A stonking NFC versus AFC matchup for your Sunday. Very important for both teams as a whole. And I think a game that is going to be amazing against two of the absolute form teams in the NFL right now. Probably, I think, two of probably the top four, I would almost say, teams in the NFL right now. The Denver Broncos are currently sitting 11-2 in the AFC. The Packers are 9-3, just behind the Rams. In the NFC, the Packers coming off a pretty great win last week, and they are on a 4-game win streak now. Jordan Love on the up, and the Green Bay defense really cooking and humming now with Michael Parsons actually featuring heavily in that defense. The Denver Broncos, on the other hand, I never know what to say when I talk about the Denver Broncos, but they are on a 10-game winning streak. Can be sort of said that I have this weird feeling that they play up or down to their opponents constantly. We kind of saw that against the Raiders last week in the first half, where they didn't score a lot of points, where they should have absolutely put them away in the first half and been able to coast. Instead, it was 14-7, and they weren't looking like the team that was on a 9-game winning streak at that point. And I sort of tuned in here and there on Red Zone, and I thought, are these guys going to actually get this done, or are they going to manage to lose to the Raiders? Of course, that would never happen. Kenny Pickett came in late in the game, though, and actually got some movement for the Raiders, which was astonishing, considering we hadn't seen anything of the sort from the Raiders all season. But the Broncos, if they play up or down to their opponents, Brad, this is sure to be one hell of a game against the Packers, because once the Packers turn the lights on, it is absolute go time for them too.
Yeah. It's I think this game, it could be a real statement game for the Packers, because they have been playing, I don't want to say sneaky good, because those people are aware, but I think they've been playing a lot better than what people are giving them credit for. In Denver, everything's just fallen right. They're 11-2 on a 10-game win streak, and so they obviously deserve to be where they're at. But I think Green Bay matches up really well with this team against the Broncos. And I know that Broncos pass rush is legit. They're next level. I mean, you got Nick Bodino and Jonathan Cooper, who have over, I think, 20 sacks, and they lead the team leads the league in sacks, and most of them are coming from that defensive line. So, and it's just what they're doing is impressive. But I think Jordan Love is going to continue his hot streak, and he's going to pick them apart, really, is what I think. So from a betting standpoint, I'm actually big on the Packers in this game. I just think they've got too much going. Their receivers, finally, all three receivers are back, and they're playing well together. This is kind of what people envisioned at the start of the year with that receiving core, and they're deep, and they're pulling the right plays, and it's going to be a really good matchup, I think, between coaching and especially when it comes to LaFleur on offense and then on defense. I just think it's going to be a chess match within a chess match. So it's going to be a great game to watch.
An extension of that, with their receivers coming back in the last sort of few games, they've been able to shore up their O-line. They had some injuries there earlier in the year. Jordan Lund was getting pressured a lot more. Not happening as much in the last sort of month of football. They have, in the last 4 games, only had 4 sacks. Weirdly enough, the Broncos are actually averaging 4.2 sacks a game, which is their most since 1989. So they're on a historic run in terms as sack-wise. But the Packers, we'll start with them first. The Packers more so have been able to find that groove offensively. Said it a few times earlier in the year where, Jordan Love, and you can see it the last couple of weeks, you can see he's really starting to find some rhythm, find some groove. I know LaFleur's more so a run-first sort of coach, and he wants to be able to use Josh Jacobs and really get the ground game going. But they've been able to get some production from him. He scored last week, but they've really just been able to get the passing game going. They've got Christian Watson back, they've got Jaden Reed, so they've got more depth now. They're cycling guys through. The one thing I will say though that gets me is I don't understand as to why Denver's the underdog in this game. Like, I feel like people would probably say, yes, overall the Packers are maybe better, but we talk about playing up or down to opponents. The Packers have beaten really good teams this year, right? And having a look through the games that they've dropped, there's a common denominator. They played the Browns, who've got a really good sort of pass rush, really good defense. Then they played down to the Panthers, who, they were able to, they couldn't get anything going offensively, which was a weird game. The week after, then they played Philly at home, and Philly had that game where, they just had Jalen Phillips come in. They were able to get a lot of sacks in that game. So obviously that was before their O-line sort of came through. So is this game going to be one where, the Broncos defense is going to take over? I actually think it is going to be, because when Jordan Love has actually been pressured quite a bit, his passer rating goes below average. I think it's in the 20s. So he drops off quite a bit. And if they're sort of relying into their sort of run game a little bit more, and that gets stuff that's going to force him to throw, he's not maybe going to have that much time. As we said before, the Broncos defense has been absolutely insane. That's why I'm probably giving them a bit more respect, more so than a lot of other people. Offensively, they've just been a bit up and down. We sort of don't know what you're going to get week to week, but defensively, they're just on such a historic run. It's literally they are another version of the Texans. It's the same thing. It's like offensively, it's weird, doesn't make sense, doesn't fit. Defensively, it's insanely good, and that's why those two teams are probably going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year. I like the plus 2.5 with Denver. I think at home, if it was in Green Bay, maybe a different story, but at home, plus 2.5, getting the points, I don't mind it in this game.
I love that 2.5, to be honest. There's a couple that are sitting this week at 2.5, and that total at 42.5 is very interesting to me as well. As well as some other a few other lines there, sort of more player prop lines that could be a bit spicy, with Christian Watson paying around $3 for an anytime touchdown. Could go all right, because at Mile High you usually see a lot of passing happening, especially in the first half. So let's see Christian Watson getting another touchdown there. Weather-wise, it's much nicer day when you are 1,600 meters above sea level, or 1 mile above sea level. Much nicer football weather. 13 degrees or 61 in freedom units, and a sunny but partly cloudy day. Amazing football weather. So
that's perfect football weather, to be honest with you. That is almost absolutely perfect football weather. 61. Wow. Just, I know we got to get off this game, but just quickly, who do you think has a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, Denver or Green Bay?
Green Bay.
Yeah. That's me too.
Only based on the experience. Honestly, okay. I only bring it down to the experience. Obviously defense, shows up a lot more in the playoffs, but I think because they've got a little bit more experience. You've seen Jordan Love play in the playoffs before. Yes, it was pretty bad last year in his playoff games, but he's had some solid playoff games in the past. They've now added to their defense. So they feel like a lot more of a complete
ask the
team.
Cowboys about. Ask the Cowboys about his playoff experience, or don't, please. All right, sorry. Moving along.
No, that's all right. Yeah, mate. I just don't trust Denver. This is my biggest thing. It's the
Yeah.
playing up and down to your opponent thing. Is this yo-yo
Too many
stuff.
one-score games. Yep.
It's too many high-scoring games too. Like on both sides. Like they've scored a lot of points and they've let a lot of points in. That 10-7 game against the Raiders is a total outlier, but it shouldn't have happened. You know, you're coming up against a shit team. You really should put them away. And the fact that they are I think it's one of the highest points against totals in the entire league from memory. Yes, they're way up there, like 308 points scored against them. So they're in the bottom third of all teams in that metric. So it worries me. Anywho. Right, let's move on to the fourth game. And it is, again, another sensational matchup. This time, all NFC. The Detroit Lions at the Los Angeles Rams is going to be a fantastic game between two massive NFC teams this season. The Rams are currently sitting at the top of the NFC table and looking like one of the top teams to make the Super Bowl. I've been saying for a few weeks, I think that they are absolutely a Super Bowl team. And apart from a small trip up, which most teams will have at some time of year, I think that they came back really, really well and absolutely have been dominating games. The Lions are sitting at 8-5 at the moment. They're third in the NFC North in a race for first place with the Bears and the Packers. They desperately need this win in the NFC, both for their own division in terms of their 4 and just being up there in terms of their wins-lost column, and the NFC as a whole, just to be able to make the 7 for the NFC, which is probably one of the most hotly contested ones I've seen in a long time. Anywhere down to 10th place in the Dallas Cowboys could technically make the playoffs. Well, actually, technically 11. Minnesota Vikings have a 1% chance as of this week to make the playoffs. And there is a route. There is hope.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. They're saying there is a chance, Brad. Yes. We would have to win out and then hope that a whole bunch of there's a whole scenario. It's massive. It's awesome. It's the things dreams are made of when you start tracking these things. But the Cowboys in 10th, right down to there, any one of those teams could make the 7 in the NFC right now. So, Nick, Rams versus Lions could be absolutely amazing. For me, I'm liking the Rams a lot more. I love their form going into this, and I think that they are already a Super Bowl team. So I think that they, for me personally, are going to put away the Lions here. What do you reckon?
They're more of a complete team. So particularly if you compare the defenses, offensive, you could probably say it's a bit of a wash. Like you've got weapons on both sides of the ball with Detroit's offense, the Rams' offense. So, you could pretty much say that's a dead heat. Defensively, it's sort of like the Rams a bit more than what Detroit has done this season. Detroit just hasn't found what they have in previous seasons. A lot of that is due to their secondary being insanely banged up. Detroit's this year. So it could be an area where the Rams really attack. Puka Nacua is in massive form. Devontae Adams is averaging like a touchdown a game. That's been insane. Matthew Stafford so far is probably leading the MVP race. And it's a massive game as well for the Lions because really, if you think back to that trade that happened a few years ago, the Lions have been knocking on the door. They had those chances. They were up against us 24-7 in that halftime NFC Championship game and then fumbled that. Since before that, obviously, the Rams had won a Super Bowl. They've beaten them twice in the playoffs, but ultimately the Rams have had something to show for it. And we're stuck in an impasse now for the Lions because if they sort of lose this game, they really become out of touch with trying to get into that wild card spot because they really sort of pull back. They're losing some tiebreakers. Obviously, they've been swept by the Packers. They'd have to go and beat Chicago again, who they play later in the year. But it means at some point they're going to have to play the Rams. And, if you're looking at it as the Lions, as this franchise, you traded away Matthew Stafford. He goes on, wins potentially 2 Super Bowls now and an MVP. He's pretty much written his case. When you've had him as a number 1 pick, now he's gone to the Rams and potentially written his own Hall of Fame case. Like it's pretty soul crushing for the franchise. But when you look at it, it's been so weird because, funnily enough, between the two, since they've been traded, they have both averaged 264 yards per game. They've both had 148 total touchdowns. Goff has had 64 turnovers and Stafford has had 62 turnovers. So it's pretty much the same production, which is so weird. And then what's even more stunning?
The player on the team is the difference. The only difference there.
What's even more stunning is since that trade, the regular season win-loss record, the Lions have gone 47-33-1. The Rams have gone 47-34. So literally a tie is the difference, which is insane. But like I said, in the playoffs, the last sort of couple of years, the Lions have had that the couple wins in those playoff games. Both have been really good games and both have been really close. So when I looked at sort of what we had betting wise, it was a bit weird to see. I understand that the Rams have been in much better form. So the -5.5, it's a bit like that Chiefs Chargers game. So it is too big, but I don't quite trust the Lions defensively. Maybe offensively they might be able to get a backdoor cover, but I don't quite trust them defensively maybe to be able to cover that. So like the Rams sort of 1-13 is what I was looking at this game in terms of betting wise. And then also Colby Parkinson, anytime touchdown scorer, he scored in 4 of the last 5 and is paying $3.30. So a bit of value there.
That's yeah. Wow, that seems great value. Basically, you guys have hit on the diagnostically and X's and O's and stuff of this game pretty well. I would just say watch the Rams wide receivers versus that banged up Lions secondary, and I think that's where you're going to see the Rams make their hay. And you're gonna see Puka Nacua have a great game. He's the best in the league when it comes to contested catches, and I think that he's gonna exploit them significantly in this game. So if I'm betting, I'm putting money on Stafford and Nacua to have a big game in this matchup. And I don't think Gibbs is going to be have quite the game because I think they're going to become a little bit more one-dimensional, and he's going to be more of the dink and dunk catching the passes. So I would consider putting money on him on Gibbs for receptions. That would be my bet. But I think this is going to be a significant Rams victory. And Nick brought out the early bet, or that the bet that we did in the beginning of the season. I want to know where's my footage of when I said the Rams were going to be number 1. So that's
I'll find it,
how we
Brad.
should roll.
Okay, and the season's not finished, Brad.
Yeah.
Season's not finished.
Yeah, fair point.
It'll be our season recap show, Brad. Right?
Yeah, could finish third in that Division 2, Brad. Come on now, there's a chance.
Because we've also got to be able to. Yeah, we've also got to be able to pull out Isaac's Carolina Panthers take at some point as well.
Yes,
that was pretty good.
Yes, we do.
That was pretty good.
Betting wise for me, I can't go past Devontae Adams to score 2+ touchdowns. He's paying $3.70 for that at the moment, and then you just couple that with a multi with Stafford as 2+ passing touchdowns, and you get some really decent value. So. Adams has been the form man in terms of touchdowns produced. He's been sensational. I'll also have to pull out that clip of when Taylor 100% has said that Devontae Adams will score the most touchdowns in the league this season. He has been a full-on machine so far. the machine.
I love it.
All right, Monday Night Football. Let's mention it really quickly. And it is the Miami Dolphins against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Dolphins, of course, are just playing for pride and shits and giggles at this point. They're just playing to have fun. It looks like they're having more and more fun every single week, including their coach. So they're not going to really go anywhere, but they can probably wreck some people's futures and really get in the faces of some teams. So
Hey, they've got a 1% chance of making the playoffs.
They do. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, are still in a race for that division. Can you believe it? That's at this point in time, the Steelers and the Ravens and even possibly the Bengals could all win the AFC North. There is still a path for the Bengals to win the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to take advantage of the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are broken and sorry, and that they have a much harder schedule going forward. They need this important AFC win against the Dolphins. They need to get it, and they need to keep that record intact so that they can remain atop of the AFC North division. Their conference record is at 6-3, whereas the Ravens are coming up way behind them at 4-5. So they need to make sure they keep ahead of the Ravens. The Steelers have games after this with the Dolphins. They've got one against the Lions next week. Then they take on the Browns and then the Ravens in week 18. If they want to avoid having to come up against the Ravens to win the division in week 18, they need to win this Dolphins matchup and then win against the Browns in week 17, and then they will secure that division. So this is a very, very important matchup for them because, as I said, the Ravens have a much harder schedule. So that's pretty much where Monday Night Football boils down to, would you say, boys?
Yeah, I would watch it just because it's the only thing on, but it doesn't exactly
Precisely.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't wet my beak, so to speak. It's just sad that we're gonna see this Pittsburgh most likely get into the playoffs again, most likely lay a goose egg, and they're just Pittsburgh fans are just stuck in purgatory. It's just it's a bad place to be.
It is.
If they win that division, though, just a quick, if they do finish as that 4 seed, let's say, for example, they play the Jags or Texans, is there a chance that they actually can win a playoff game and break that drought? Would that save Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh?
If they won a playoff game, it would. I think that's the only thing that saves Tomlin, to be honest with you, at this point. I think they've just how can you roll him back again? For another season of mediocrity? It's just asinine.
I'm just having a quick look at the schedules. They are going to be the 4 seed if they win that division. There's no path.
Yeah, no,
there's no path to the third because the Jag they would probably have 10 wins, I think, by end of week 18 as a max. I think they lose one in the next.
I think they'll be 9-8.
Yeah,
perfectly balanced as they are.
Perfectly balanced. The deal with the devil. They will be 9-8. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they would be the 4 seed, which would put them up against probably the Chargers or the Bills, actually, Nick.
It probably would be the Bills, but I was just saying in a hypothetical, it probably if it was the Jags or the Texans, they're better chance of winning against those. But look, it's probably most likely going to be the Bills, and as we saw 2 weeks ago, it's probably going to be a bit painful for them. But
Steelers-Bills wildcard game. Ooh, I think the Bills would like that matchup.
They would.
So that's where that game is right now. How about a multi? How about we go with the 8-leg multi? This was hard to pick. Hard to find 8 legs in this week that were solid because there's so many strong favorites, like $1, $1.20 favorites. It's hard. So we've got a bit of a mix this week. We've got the Jags. I'm taking them at -13.5 against the Jets. The Jets without Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. I don't know who's starting.
They might get an upgrade at quarterback now. Who knows? It could be upgraded.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so I'm taking the Jags to go over 2 scores. The Buffalo Bills money line. The Chargers-Chiefs game, I liked the over on that 41.5 more than anything. I wanted to touch something in that game, so I went with an over bet to see how we go with that one. I took the Bengals at plus 2.5 against the Ravens. Because they are somehow they're an underdog against the Ravens, and the Ravens are just dead in the water right now. So it's surprising considering the Bengals have been on a bit of a hot streak the last couple of weeks in terms of scoring. And their defense is doing better. The New York Giants money line. New York Giants are favorites against the Washington Commanders this week.
What?
Bring it on, Jameis. At home. Let's go.
No way.
I'm assuming Dart's not playing there?
I don't know. I assume it's because of Dart, but like I said at the top, they really should be starting Jameis and not Dart. I think Mariota got named as the starter for the Commanders, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah. I think he may have been named as a starter for the rest of the season, which is the most logical step for the Washington Commanders. Do not put Jaden Daniels near a field.
Your season's done. Just let him heal. You do not want another RG3.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Chicago Bears at minus 7.5 against the Browns. I reckon they'll go over a score.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Rams minus 5.5 against the Lions. I think that they will tear up the Lions.
Yeah, me too.
And then, Brad, Minnesota Vikings plus 6.5 against the Cowboys. I reckon we can cover 6.5 against the Cowboys, Brad.
Oh, I'm taking the Cowboys on that one.
Bring it on, JJ. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. No, I think the Cowboys offense is too much.
Those 8 lines would put us, if you went with those 8 lines, that would put you straight up on Sportsbet at $148.75 for your multi. Our power play whips us right out to $181.07 for $1 down.
Yes. Yes. 1,000%. Yep. Okay.
Well, we'll know more on Sunday, or probably even Saturday afternoon, Australian time. If Phillip Rivers starts for the Indianapolis Colts this week, his over-under passing touchdowns line is set at 0.5. He only needs one passing touchdown to get you a couple of dollars. So, just if he gets announced as a starter, hit that line. Hit it.
Absolutely.
Like one passing touchdown. I reckon they've got one passing touchdown in them. And you know why I reckon that? Because it's probably likely to be a lateral to Jonathan Taylor. Still counts as a pass. As long as it was forward, it's all good. So anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back early next week after all these games have been played to do a reaction show as always. I believe Isaac was trying to line up our good mate Seahawk Sam for next week because we have a massive Thursday night football game coming up again between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. It is going to be a sensational matchup.
Yeah.
It will be an absolutely huge game. So I believe, yes. And then we also have Sunday Australian games to preview as well. because we've got 2 games on Sunday for week 16 as well. So reaction show next week. Keep a lookout for that, and keep a lookout on NFL Fans Down Under Facebook group and our social media for the reactions posts. Get out there and give us your reactions so we can have a talk about them. And you can drive the show. Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Thanks you very, very much for joining us. And if you are a mid-40s gentleman or even a lady out there, remember that competitive sports are not beyond you, because Philip Rivers has shown us so.
You know what else is not beyond you? Fantastic T-shirts like Nick's wearing. So go buy a Aussie G'day Gridiron T-shirt.
Absolutely. Good plug, Brad. Merch store on the Linktree. See you later.